What happens when a Viking ritual unleashes something far more terrifying than legend? Welcome to Midnight Horrorverse. Tonight, we delve into a dark age where the clash of steel is nothing compared to the battles fought within the mind. Prepare yourself for a Viking tale steeped in ancient ritual. Eivor, the Viking reader of bones, stood solitary in a thicket of twisted trees amid the depths of a night that seemed more weighty than stone. Haunted by sickly clouds, the moon flung brief shadows that danced with the murmurs of old ghosts. He was driven by an unceasing urge to expose the web of destiny entangling his people, and to do so he had travelled far into these eerie forests. The air held portent, a bittersweet promise that snatched his heart with equal degrees of fear and excitement. Eivor got ready for the ritual. A small fire crackled gently, its warm glow a defiant flicker against the suffocating darkness. Over the flames, he set a cauldron of water and added a mixture of herbs, roots, and the powdered bones of a long-forgotten beast. Ingredients meant to induce visions, to peel back the veils of reality. Eivor's hands were trembling as they held the warm chalice, and with the weight of his people's burden, he inhaled deeply and then drank the steaming potion as the cauldron bubbled, releasing pungent, earthy scents of sage, soil, and moss, a familiar wave that always carried a hint of underlying revulsion for Eivor. He became aware of the world around him fading like a distant echo as the bitter taste clawed at the back of his throat. The firelight wavered and stretched, twisting into grotesque forms that peered at him with twisted glee. Seeking the bridge to other realms, he closed his eyes. He whispered ancient tongues, prayers to his gods to grant him the knowledge to save his community. Soon after, whispers began to swoosh. They started low, murmurous strands that spun a tapestry of horror and fascination around his mind. Shadows erupted, swirling about him with the force of an unleashed storm. Shapes twisted, their forms obscured by darkness, heralding the arrival of entities beyond comprehension. As the flames flickered in front of him, his trance-like state fully engulfed him. He saw them in the depths of his mind, twisted, faceless figures clawing at his sanity, his thoughts tiny shards, each one a reflection of a buried fear. He screamed, but the sound was lost in the eerie winds through the trees. "Fool!" The beings hissed in unison, voices that rumbled in his mind. "You dare seek knowledge of domains unbound! You are not worthy! You are but a fleeting flicker of existence, fragile and trembling!" Eivor was paralyzed with terror, his eyes unmoving, fixed on the horror before him, and felt his spirit fray, the edges of his consciousness threatening to dissolve into the abyss. Desperate to ward off the encroaching madness, he clutched his head, attempting to pin down his thoughts. Images flashed before him, scenes of betrayal, blood-soaked battles, the wailing of the dying, the screaming of his kin echoing through the halls of Valhalla. "What is happening to me? This is madness. This was supposed to be the answer. This is your future. This is your answer." A pounding of drums in the darkness began to reverberate through his entire being. Just as he felt the last remnants of his sanity starting to wane, he heard a growl, deep and primal, cutting through the chaos like a lightning bolt. Freki emerged from the surrounding darkness. The proud and powerful wolf exuded an aura of calm among the storm of despair. His golden eyes shimmered, an otherworldly light reaching into Eivor's soul. "Eivor!" Freki spoke, his voice a soothing, rumble-rich tone. "Follow me!" Eivor grabbed onto that thread of hope without hesitation and grasped Freki's soft, comforting fur as the wolf bounded through the shadows. They travelled an unseen path. The world was bending around them as Freki sped forward. The chilling whispers receded like waves retreating from the shore, and the malignant entities faded into lingering darkness behind them. With Freki guiding him, Eivor felt his breathing begin to steady, the enveloping grip of terror relinquishing its hold. The pale moonlight began to pierce through the shroud of night, dawning across the landscape as the malevolent shapes shrank into mere figments lost in the deep recesses of his mind. Finally, they broke free from the shadows, emerging into a grove bathed in a silvery moonlight. The air was sweet and alive, a stark contrast to the darkness he had just experienced. Eivor sank to his knees, the remnants of the darker realm still etched into his psyche. The ground was dry and hard, but he was relieved to be out of that madness. Freki paused beside him, his bushy tail gently wagging, an anchor of tranquility amidst the aftershocks of the ordeal. The wolf nuzzled him gently, a reassurance that he was not alone. As dawn began to creep across the horizon, Eivor felt the weight of knowing settle upon him, a burden, yet also a blessing. Tonight, I danced with madness. But through the bond with this awe-inspiring animal, he had been spared, returned to the realm of the living. With the first light of day washing over the woods, Eivor rose, steadying himself against a tree. The forest sighed with the promise of a new beginning, each rustle in the leaves a reminder of the thin veil that separated him from the horrors he had faced. Together with Freki, he would forge ahead, more vigilant than ever. Now he carried within him the strength of a warrior tempered by visions, and the wisdom to tread carefully through the shadows, wherever they may lead.